Hi everybody, today I'm going to be doing my final presentation over Google Incorporated. So first off, I'm going to start out with the history of Google. Google Incorporated is an American search engine company founded by Sergey Brin and Larry Page in 1998. Google processes more than 70% of online inquiries worldwide, and its headquarters are in Mountain View, California. While they started out as only a search engine, Google now offers over 50 internet services such as Gmail and Google Drive, which I'm currently using. In 2012, Google bought Motorola Mobility, which put them in the mobile phone scene. That's how they got connected with Android and Samsung. Despite all of its new products and services, its search engine and advertising remains the main source of revenue for Google. Now I'm going to talk more about the founders. So Brin and Page met as grad students at Stanford University. They began working to create a new type of searching technology which was first coined backrub. Traditionally, a search engine would rank the websites based off how many times the search phrase appeared in the linked website. However, Brin and Page reordered based on a different kind of value. They reordered based on how many times each website was visited or clicked on. They ultimately raised around $1 million from family and friends, which they used to start up their business in California. Google began processing 500,000 searches per day by mid-1999 when they got $25 million in venture capital funding. This really helped them to take off their business. By 2004, Google had more than 200 million searches a day, and by 2011, they handled 3 billion a day. That number keeps rising, so today we are in the high billions. The rising popularity caused Google to become its own verb. So to Google was to search. And I know a lot of us use that today, and it's just in our day-to-day vocabulary. I usually don't say, hey, can you search what this means? I usually say, hey, can you Google what this means? So that just shows how much of an impact Google has had on the world. As I've said before, Google started in America, specifically in California. However, as I previously mentioned, they grew almost exponentially. So they really needed to expand internationally to be able to store all of the data that they had. With so much data in their hands, they built 11 data centers around the world. After getting an experienced CEO in place and becoming worth billions of dollars because of their IPO, Google reorganized itself. The IPO is just basically the stock market. So when they went public, they quickly raised a lot of money because of the investments being made in their company. In 2015, Google was put into the hands of Alphabet Incorporated. Searching, advertising, YouTube, Maps, and Android remained under Google, but Google's research products moved to Alphabet. I have two pictures I want to show you guys relating to AdWords and AdSense. So the first picture I'm going to show you guys is of my computer screen when I Googled online business class. So as you can see, as I previously mentioned, Google orders websites based on how popular they are or how many clicks that they've had and websites visits. However, before those start, you can see here that they have 4 advertisements above where their popularity list starts. So when a business advertises on the Google website like that, that is called AdWords. The second picture I want to talk about is a screenshot from a blog that I'll read every once in a while. Now, as you can see on the right side, they have a jumpsuit and a mini dress advertised from Princess Polly. Now, that is more of an AdSense ad because it is on a certain website. Now that we have a better understanding of AdWords and AdSense because of those screenshots, I want to go into a little bit more depth about them. So Google AdWords is based on keywords when searching. I really like how www.wordstream.com/Google Ads worded this, so I'm going to quote them here. Advertisers choose a list of keywords to target that are relevant to their business offerings, the words that people are most likely to use when searching for their product. Then they bid on these keywords. basing each bid on how much they are willing to pay for a Google user to click on their ad. This bid, combined with the quality score assigned by Google based on the quality of your proposed ad, determines which Google ads appear on the SERP, which is basically the search engine. When users click the ads, the advertiser pays a certain cost, or the cost per click, or CPC. I'll talk more about advertising when I go over the financial statement because that is such a large part of Google's revenue. However, now I'm going to move to other apps and products that Google has to offer that has really made them the company that they are. I'm going to talk about YouTube now. YouTube was created by 3 former PayPal employees, Chad Hurley, Stephen Chen, and Jawed Karim. They created YouTube in 2005. So Google bought YouTube for $1.65 billion in stocks in 2006. So as you can see, YouTube being created in early 2005 and being bought for that much money in late 2006 shows that that website really took off. In 2012, Google closed Google Video and moved all of their videos to YouTube. That same year, they generated $1 billion of revenue. Today, I know YouTube is very popular for all different ages. Next, I'm going to talk about Gmail. So Gmail went public, but was still in the beta stage in 2007. So unlike other services, Gmail offered 1 gigabyte of free email storage and gave users an independent email address, which is different from anything that was there at the time. In 2009, they relaunched Gmail, but without the beta stage, so it appealed more to businesses, which really helped them take off. In 2010, however, Gmail began experiencing hacks that originated in China. This was one of the first major international situations that Google had to deal with. Google's immediate response was to change the encryption from HTTP to HTTPS to make the server more secure and fast. So Google also threatened to reverse its stance on the Chinese government and allow the Chinese people to get unfiltered results, which could deteriorate Google's Chinese market. This is because the way that the Chinese government operated and still operates, the Chinese people would get filtered results, so they couldn't necessarily see a lot of what was on the interweb. However, their neighbor Hong Kong had access to all unfiltered results, so Google was going to reroute the Chinese Google to Hong Kong's Google so that the Chinese people could also get unfiltered results. In March, Google rerouted the Chinese site to Hong Kong's unfiltered site to avoid direct conflict with the Chinese government. Finally, in June, Google gave the Chinese site an option to have either censored Chinese Googling or manually change it to Hong Kong's unfiltered site, convincing China's government to renew their contract with Google. I'm going to talk about more small Google apps and Google Chrome now. So in 2006, Google launched a variety of apps that started their quote-unquote war with Microsoft. Between launching in 2006 and a year later in 2007, Google had bought or created various apps that appealed to many businesses. Some of these apps included Google Calendar, Talk, Page Creator, and Docs, which encompassed basically the main competition with Word because they had, or more specifically Microsoft, because they had Word, they had Excel and spreadsheets, they had presentations, so that really put them up there as a competitor with Microsoft. In 2008, Google released an advanced web browser that used JavaScript, which is Chrome. In 2012, however, Google's Chrome beat Microsoft's Internet Explorer and Apple's Safari in the most popular web browser. So now I'm going to go over Google's financial statement analysis from 2016 with you guys to help you guys better understand Google and what all of these apps that have been created and bought truly mean to the company and how that relates to other businesses. Google is one of the most well-known companies around the world. They are extremely successful at selling ads, searching the web, and advancing technology like I've previously mentioned. When analyzing their financial statement from 2016, the numbers help to explain why Google is so successful. I focused on 4 parts of the statement that stood out to me during this analysis, and that was Google's total cash and assets, Google's goodwill, their short and long-term debt, and their debt-to-equity ratio. So I'm going to talk about Google's goodwill first. Goodwill in accounting is an intangible asset that demonstrates how much the, quote, company's name is worth. When looking over the financial statement, it said Google's name alone is worth around $16 billion. That's without anything, literally just the product name. Google's positive and popular perception by others and their standing in the marketplace leads them to have a great financial success and a high goodwill, which is a very positive thing in the business world. This also appeals to possible investors because of how much the company's name alone is worth. So now I'm going to talk about Google's percent of total assets. So their percent of total assets represented by cash can be found by dividing their cash by their total assets. I can insert a small equation for you guys so you can see the exact numbers I used from the financial statement. In millions, that is about $86 billion divided by $167 billion. And then when you multiply that by 100, you get 51.5%. This shows that 51.5% of Google's assets is cash. This means that they are a very liquid company. And when a company is liquid, it is a positive because they can liquidate their cash to invest in or purchase other things, such as smaller businesses, for example. An example of this would be what I previously talked about with YouTube when they bought YouTube for $1.65 billion. However, they bought that in stocks and they did not have to liquidate their money. This helps to give Google a competitive advantage over their opponents like Apple and Yahoo, which I will talk about in the very end. Now I'm going to talk about one of the most important things I saw. It was Google's debt. It is astoundingly low. So Google's long-term debt is around $3 billion. However, their short-term debt is even lower, dropping to zero. Ideally, a company's total assets should exceed their total liabilities. In Google's case, this extremely low debt helps to explain why their total assets are about 6 times larger than their liabilities. This is a great thing because it demonstrates financial success to stockholders. It also shows that Google does not have trouble paying off debts that they owe. Also, just putting it in perspective, as I've mentioned throughout this final video, Google just has an incredible impact all over the world, and it is such a large company, so the fact that their short-term debt totals zero is astounding. Now relating their low debt to their debt-to-equity ratio, this ratio helps indicate Google's financial leverage. It also shows how much debt a company is using to pay for its assets compared to the shareholders' equity value in the stock market. The debt-to-equity ratio can be found by dividing the company's total liabilities by their shareholders' equity. For Google, in millions, this was about 28 billion divided by 139 billion. When you multiply that by 100, you get 0.2. This shows that Google is able to generate enough cash to pay off debt obligations and that they are a company with relatively low risk. This low ratio makes it easier for Google to take out loans and makes them more appealing to banks. It also shows stockholders that they are a very stable business. So when going over the financial analysis, I did mention a few competitors, so I wanted to go over brand competition and just substitute products with you guys because that's really important with Google. So discussing substitute products, with ad revenue being the main source of profits for Google, Facebook and Amazon are close competitors and substitutes. This is because they offer more than just a search engine. Amazon and Facebook provide online stores, networking, and connection to news all over the world. Bing is also a common substitute for Google because of competitors such as Apple that have changed their search engines and their products from Google to Bing. This is kind of to make a stab at Google and bring Apple up. Now referring to brand competition, Apple is a brand competitor with Google when it comes to phones and electronics. Google bought Android in 2005, leaving the two big phone types to be Apple iPhone versus Android. This competition has resulted in Apple changing the iPhone search engines over to Bing from Google. Bing and Yahoo are competitors with Google's search engine, however. Google controls almost 65% of the market, but Bing already controls 19% of the market, possibly because of its partnership with Apple against Google. Yahoo and Google were close competitors in the early 2000s, but because of Google's advancement through YouTube, Gmail, and Google Drive, all previously mentioned in this video, and now even driverless cars, Yahoo is beginning to fall behind. So before wrapping it up for you guys, I kind of wanted to end on a more happy note, which maybe some of you guys have heard about, but it's Google's actual workplace. This is where all of the products are being bought or created, and all the creative minds are for Google. So I wanted to talk about kind of what that is like, because it is unlike many other businesses. So Google is known for its unique workplace culture. Just by looking at the environment of the Googleplex, which is where they work, shows you that it is not any ordinary office space. When I Googled pictures of the inside of Googleplex, which I will put up here now, it looked like an adult playground. Had a modern design with a lot of bright colors. Some of the first pictures that popped up were pictures of a bowling alley, giant slides, and an exercise room. While it looks like a lot of fun, I did dig deeper just below the pictures to see why Google Incorporated would set up their facility like that. I found many say that this culture of a quote adult playground is not an average workplace contributes to their great success. Google even has workers whose sole job is to keep the employees happy and maintain productivity. Also, there are many perks to working at Google, such as three free organic meals, free health and dental, free haircuts, free dry cleaning, subsidized massages, gym and swimming pool amenities, hybrid car subsidies, nap pods, video games, foosball, ping pong, on-site physicians, and death benefits. While it is obviously a big cost for Google, it does not compete with the fact that they keep their employees happy longer and stay at the top of the charts for one of the best places to work. So to wrap it all up for you guys, I just wanted to kind of make a few connections here at the end. Starting with what we just talked about, the workplace culture, I think that really spawns the creativity that the workers and owners use to create all of these wonderful products that are so popular today. I think that's why Google really stands out in the marketplace and in the world, is because their workplace really stands out and their employees really stand out. I think all of this is reflected in the financial statement, which I analyzed for you guys previously, and just the numbers really add up to show how important that all of this workplace culture is, because it really helps to generate money when people are creative and happy. So overall, I think that Google's low debt, high total assets, and more, such as the workplace culture, have helped to explain why they are the world's most popular search engine, email server, and web browser, as well as why they are able to stay cutting edge in technology. I hope you guys enjoyed learning about Google, and thank you guys for being in this class with me. I really enjoyed it.